Dan Perry here with another Dan on Tech Python video. As we work through loops and other structures, a lot of times we want to work with groups of objects, and there are several types of groupings of objects that we can use in Python. One is the list. There's also tuples, dictionaries. Those are some of the data types that we have available to us. Lists are mutable types. Tuples are immutable. Dictionaries are also mutable, can change. We're going to start by working through and looking at a list. You can create a list in a number of ways. If I want to create a list, I'll type the name of the list. I'll call it my list. Then equals, and if I want to create an empty list or a list with nothing in it, I use square brackets, and that creates a list called my list that's empty. Right now, if I were to tell it to print my list, all I see is the square brackets because there's nothing in it. I could, though, create a list and populate it. So again, with the square brackets, but if I'm doing numeric values, I just type the numbers. When I press enter, that will create the list, my list, and it will populate it with those values. So if I just now say my list, it will output it in the list form showing those values. So I can create a list that way. If I wanted to create a list of strings, call it my string equals. Here I have to put each string in its inside of quotes. And I've created a couple of elements that are just letters and one that's actually a word, call it word. And that's created it. If I now display my string, it shows those values. So I've got different values there. If I want to look at a particular entry in the string, I can use an index number for it, and indexes always start at 0. So my list, and in the square brackets of I put a 0, will get the first element in there, which in this case is 3. If I do my list and I put an element of 5, it will give me the 5th element, the 22, and this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said the 5th element. It's actually the 6th element. It's element number 5 because we start at 0. If I try an element or an index that's too large for it, I'll get a traceback error saying that I'm past the end of the range. I'm outside of that list range. I can also work with my strings that way. So my string 2 is the third element, element 0, 1, 2, and it would be word. I have the ability to work through strings, work through numeric lists. I can also put a range in there. So if I said my list of 2:4, that would give me the range or elements 2 through 4. So 2 and 3, it doesn't give element 4, it stops just short of it, just like the range command did. So 0, 1, the 1 is element 2, the 8 is element 3, the 9 is element 4, and just like the range command went one less, it goes to one less than that. So it got those elements. If I wanted to include the 9, I would put a 5 there. And that would get the 1, 8, and 9. This is called slicing. In Python, if you hear the term slice, you're taking part of a list or a string and cutting out and using just part of it. So we here have sliced my list. Now, it's not actually changed the values in my list. I can change any value in the list. If I want to change the value of a particular element, my list, say element 2, which is right now a 1, say it equals 33. And if I look at my list now, I can see now that that element has changed to 33 because this is a mutable list, a changeable list. I can change elements in it. I can do the same thing with strings. So I'm going to change element 1 to hi there. Right now, element 1 is the X. Now if I display my string, now it's E hi there in Word, so I can change those values, lists being mutable or changeable. We'll see later on how to add to a list, to append it, how to insert values in a list, and how to delete values from the list. Thank you for watching this Dan on Tech video. Please subscribe to this playlist so you don't miss future videos. Please check out and subscribe to our other Dan on Tech channel playlists.